The term, worst year ever, gets tossed around a lot these days, mostly on the internet, and for reasons like, I was disappointed in the president's decision. But scientists and historians have actually argued that no year in the long history of this planet was worse than the year 536. Can you imagine not having direct sunlight for a year and having no idea why, even wondering if the sun would shine the same ever again? 536 AD was a year of darkness, despair, and unmeasurable suffering. Much of the world went dark for a full 18 months as a mysterious fog rolled over Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. The fog blocked the sun during the day, causing temperatures to drop, crops to fail, and people to die. It was, you might say, the literal Dark Age. It's crazy to think that we all came from the people that survived that year. Let's take a closer look at why the year 536 AD is considered the worst time to ever be alive. In the year 536 AD, a fog suddenly descended upon the planet, bringing with it extreme cold and darkness to the Middle East, Europe, and portions of Asia. In fact, China's summertime temperatures were so frigid that snowfall occurred. Its appearance was mysterious, but the darkness persisted for a whole 18 months. The peculiar environment of 536 AD was characterized by the Roman Byzantine historian Procopius as one without any sun, as if the sun were perpetually trapped in a dark eclipse. Cassiodorus, a different Roman statesman, observed that the sun's beams were weak and appeared bluish. You were unable to see your own shadow, not even in broad daylight. As you might guess, this unexplained occurrence made it very difficult to raise food, in addition to inspiring widespread fear of an impending apocalypse. Numerous illnesses, famines, and fatalities resulted from this. For instance, the peculiar and abrupt change in temperature caused the population of Rome alone to drop by almost 50%. Even worse, it was still unclear what had caused this peculiar Dark Age of 536 AD. But in the 1990s, scientists started examining Irish tree rings. They found that around 536 AD, temperatures in some parts of Europe and Asia actually dropped. Some areas experienced temperatures that were up to 35 to 37 degrees Fahrenheit colder than normal. In addition, scientists led by Michael McCormick and Paul Maevsky at the Climate Change Institute of the University of Maine analyzed ice from a Swiss glacier. They discovered evidence of a huge volcanic eruption in Iceland. This eruption in 536 AD seems to have been the root cause of the worst time to be alive. Plants require the sun to support their development and survival, according to basic biology. Thus, a global famine was caused by the absence of direct sunshine for at least a week, which had a significant effect on agricultural productivity worldwide. Furthermore, crops couldn't thrive because it was simply too cold. It wasn't only that the plants desired to absorb sunlight. Because of the sun's perpetual cloud cover, the Earth's temperature decreased by 1.6 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, or 34.88 to 36. 5 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you Americans thinking about it. It sounds not too horrible. However, it also lowered temperatures for many years to come. During this time, crop shortages were reported everywhere, including in Ireland, which went through a terrible-sounding food shortage they dubbed bread failure. For these impoverished individuals struggling to make ends meet in 536, there was more than simply a shroud of dust blocking the sun. Additionally, there were a few plagues awaiting an opportunity to attack these immune systems deficient in vitamin D. An unparalleled pandemic broke out, starting in Constantinople, where 5,000 people died on the first day, 10,000 the following, 15,000 the third, and 18,000 on the fourth. Figures confirmed by the auditors that the emperor had posted at the city's gates. After counting reached a population of 300,000, they stopped. Everyone was vulnerable because it first attacked the poor class of the population, then the merchants and the nobility, including the imperial palace. The patient's symptoms started with a sore that formed in the palm of the hand and progressed until they were so severe that they prevented them from moving. The legs grew larger, and pus emerged when the buboes ruptured. Constantinople was plagued. Thus, the city began to stink from the unburied. and so they were thrown into the sea, but the bodies kept resurfacing. Though often the bearers themselves were felled by disease in the street, the Emperor Justinian ordered that they be removed from the city. In addition, it was occasionally the case that someone would break into an abandoned home and seize its valuables to steal, only to die at the door while trying to flee. But in other regions of the empire, things got far worse. The disease made its way to Egypt, where it completely destroyed one city. Only 7 men and a boy survived. Suddenly, the 7 guys were felled on the spot as they strolled through the city. The boy then saw the angel of God appear as an elderly man. The angel took the crying child out of the city and said, "Go now and do not cry, for this punishment is the price for heresy and sin." Scandinavians left whole cities behind. Many towns in eastern and central Sweden saw such a decline in the 6th century that they were abandoned. Although the exact cause of this deserting is still unknown, Scandinavians' actions were undoubtedly influenced by the dust veil of 536 and the ensuing scarcity. Theorists speculate that a potential meteor strike caused this destruction before the ice core evidence of the 536 eruption was discovered. Further evidence revealed that farmhouse fires caused village abandonment, suggesting that relocation wasn't completely out of the question. That said, a Norse legend called Fimbulwinter includes a 3-year-long winter that occurred before Ragnarok, the end of the world, also referred to as the twilight of the gods. It is possible the story of the extended winter became associated with the extended darkness present in this century. Subsequent volcanic eruptions only made things worse. Volcanic eruptions in Iceland in 540 and 547 contributed to the general darkness of the time. The 3 eruptions together led to what scholars termed the Late Antique Little Ice Age. This Little Ice Age cooled the planet for at least a decade, if not longer. The result was crop failure and starvation, which led to increasingly unhealthy populations susceptible to illness. Based on tropical volcanic ash discovered in both northern and southern ice cores, some scholars posited a volcano in El Salvador in 535 or 536 kicked off the Little Ice Age. Near San Salvador, the Ilapongo volcano, now a crater lake, erupted during the mid-6th century as well. The eruption coincided with the hiatus period of the Mayan Empire, during which time the population and construction activity declined. Others believed the eruption of volcanoes in North America during the 530s brought on the massive cloud that hung in the skies over northern and western Europe. Even if the Ilapongo eruption, a North American volcano, or any other volcanic event was not singularly massive enough to blanket the Western Hemisphere with ash, the events contributed to the overall darkness of mid-6th century. The Roman Empire's doom was most likely sealed by the events of 536. The Roman Empire had moved to Constantinople in the east by the 6th century. Emperor Justinian led the Byzantine Empire in an effort to reclaim the opulence and vastness of the former Roman Empire. Justinian dispatched generals to the west, chief among them Belisarius, who fought in the 530s against Goths, Carthaginians, Vandals, and others. Belisarius's gains were not maintained by Justinian because of the ongoing uprisings and unstable imperial situation. The bubonic plague epidemic of 541 caused a 35% to 55% population decline in the Byzantine Empire. This led to social unrest, military setbacks, and administrative decline in addition to the empire's economic decline. The disease outbreaks, widespread conflict, and crop failures brought on by the events of 536 never allowed the Byzantine Empire to fully recover. The empire had long since disintegrated into separate states ruled by various Germanic kings in the west. Angles, Saxons, Franks, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Vandals, and other groups persisted in their battle for territory and people, taking advantage of the absence of a centralized government and steady economy. The former Roman Empire was at its most vulnerable in both the east and the west at the time of the 536 volcanic eruption.